Elena never liked sleeping alone in that old room. It wasn't the peeling wallpaper, the faint scent of dust and wood, or the outdated furniture that unsettled her. It was something else, something she couldn't quite name. It started the first week she moved back into her childhood home after her father's funeral. The house had been empty for months. Everything felt hollow, brittle, like the house itself had been holding its breath. She lay in bed that first night, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily overhead. The house creaked and groaned with familiar noises, but as midnight approached, something else joined the night sounds. Scritch, scritch, scritch. It was faint at first, a soft, irregular scratching. She froze, listening, holding her breath. It sounded like it came from beneath her bed. Elena sat up slowly. Mice, she whispered, convincing herself. The house was old. It made sense. She leaned over the side of the bed, lifted the blanket, and peered underneath. Nothing. Only shadows and the dull gleam of storage boxes pushed against the wall. Satisfied, she lay back down, closed her eyes. Scritch, scritch, scritch. This time, closer, louder. Her breath caught. She turned on the lamp beside her. The light flickered once, then steadied. The room looked normal. The sound had stopped. A dream, she thought, a trick of the mind. But every night after, the scratching returned. Sometimes faint, sometimes insistent. Always under the bed. By the fourth night, sleep had abandoned her. The sound gnawed at her sanity. She placed traps, sprinkled flour on the floor to catch footprints, even vacuumed under the bed to ensure nothing lurked. Nothing. No evidence. And yet, at 12:13 a.m., every night, scritch, scritch, scritch. On the seventh night, the scratching grew bolder, louder, scraping at the floorboards like nails dragged against wood. Elena sat upright, heart pounding. She leaned over once more, gripping the edge of the bed, slowly lifted the blanket, slowly lowered her gaze. Nothing. Just empty space. And then she heard it. A breath. Directly above her. Her body stiffened. She dared not move. She was halfway off the bed, head tilted downward, but the breath wasn't below. It was above, where she should have been. She pulled herself back up in one swift, panicked motion and turned. The bed was empty, but something shifted near her feet. A weight pressed against the mattress, subtle but undeniable, as though someone, or something, was crawling beneath the blankets toward her. Elena. A whisper, a voice like hers. Her skin turned cold. The lamp flickered again, then went out. The room plunged into darkness. Elena. The voice whispered again, closer now. She stumbled backward, groping for the light switch on the wall. Found it. Click. Nothing. No light. The whisper turned to a rasping breath, then silence. Slowly she heard the mattress creak, the sheets rustle. Something sat up on the bed behind her. She couldn't turn around. She couldn't look. The voice came again, soft as silk. I'm under here, with you. Elena bolted from the room, slamming the door behind her, chest heaving, hands trembling. She didn't sleep that night, or the next, but she heard it, every night. The scratching, the whispers, always at 12:13 a.m. And then, the scratching began to follow her, to the couch, to the guest room, even to the motel she fled to one desperate evening. It was always beneath the bed, no matter where she slept. Until one night, it stopped. That night, she slept deeply, heavily, a dreamless, empty sleep. And when she opened her eyes the next morning, everything was wrong. The world felt upside down, and she realized she wasn't in her bed anymore. She was beneath it, staring up at the wooden slats, dust choking the air, shadows pressing around her, and above her, she heard the creak of the mattress. She heard footsteps on the floorboards, and she heard her own voice calling softly, Elena, I'm under here with you. The scratching started again, this time from inside her own chest. And she understood. She'd never left. She'd always been here. And something else was sleeping in her place. Forever. Elena didn't know how long she lay there, under the bed. The air was cold and dry, thick with dust. Every breath made her chest ache. Her arms pressed against the wooden floor, pinned in the cramped space. Her cheek rested on the boards, eyes staring upward at the dark silhouette of the mattress slats. Above her, she heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. The creak of old floorboards. And then, silence. "Elena," whispered her own voice from above, so soft, so familiar. She wanted to scream, to claw her way out, but her body wouldn't move. It was as if the space under the bed had swallowed her whole, wrapping her in an invisible grip. Suddenly, something shifted beside her. In the shadows beneath the bed, something stirred. She turned her head slowly. A pale hand, thin fingers curling out from deeper darkness. The hand rested inches from her face, trembling, reaching. Its nails were long, cracked, blackened at the tips. It beckoned. "Elena." The voice again, but not from above this time, from beside her. She squeezed her eyes shut. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." When she opened her eyes again, the hand was gone, but a new sound filled the dark beneath the bed. Scritch, scritch, scritch. Not from the floor, from the inside of the mattress. Her gaze lifted upward, toward the thin wooden slats holding the mattress above her. And then, a single long crack appeared across one of the slats, another, a third, as though something inside the mattress was pushing, straining, clawing to break through. "Elena," the whisper came again, closer, clearer. She realized it wasn't calling from above. It wasn't calling from beside her. It was calling from inside the bed. A sudden, violent thump shook the mattress. Dust rained down on her face. Another thump, and then the faintest bulge pressed downward against the slats, stretching the fabric from the other side. "Elena, let me in." "No," she whispered, voice cracking. The bulge shifted, slid along the mattress, slowly tracing her position beneath it. Tap, tap, tap. A finger drumming against the thin wooden slat. Tap, tap, tap. Her vision blurred with tears. She tried to move. Her muscles burned. But she was trapped. No space to turn. No space to escape. And then, the mattress split. A jagged tear ripped through the bottom fabric. Something peered down at her through the gap. Not a face, not eyes. A hollow blackness. A void. Staring. Waiting. "Elena," it breathed. "It's cold up there. I want your warmth." The tear widened. A thin, pale arm began to reach through, fingers flexing toward her. "Elena, let me in," she screamed, finally, loud, raw, desperate. She kicked at the slats, slammed her fists against the floor, tried to shove backward. The hand grabbed her wrist. Cold, icy. It pulled. The shadows around her deepened, curling inward, wrapping around her like smoke. The world tilted, twisted, and then, she wasn't under the bed anymore. She was inside it, pressed into darkness, wrapped in damp fabric. The scent of earth and rot filled her lungs. She couldn't move, couldn't scream. She could only listen. Above her, she heard faint footsteps, a woman's voice. "Hello? Elena?" It was her mother. "Elena, are you in here?" The bedroom door creaked open. Footsteps crossed the floor. And then, a scraping sound. Her mother's hand pulling back the blanket, peering under the bed. "Elena!" Elena tried to scream, to call out. But her voice was buried, swallowed, lost inside the layers of darkness. She could only watch, helpless, as the pale hand, the one that had pulled her in, slowly reached back out from beneath the bed, fingers curling upward, toward her mother's face. "Elena?" The hand gripped her mother's wrist, and slowly pulled her under. The last thing Elena saw before the shadows swallowed them both was her mother's terrified eyes staring back at her. And in the suffocating dark, a whisper curled around her like a lullaby. "Now we're all under here, together." The scratching never stopped again. Not that anyone could hear it. Not from the outside. Not from above. But if you ever dared look under that bed, you might see the shadows move. You might hear the faintest whispers. And if you listen closely, you might hear them scratching, waiting, reaching for you.